Hello! This video will show you how to export an expense report into Dynamics NAV. You'll notice I have my browser open. On one of the tabs, I have an expense report open that I just completed. We will be exporting this expense report to Dynamics NAV. On this expense report, you will notice there are two lines. One is for Hilton Hotels, charged for $200, and the second is for Delta Airlines, a charge of $300. The total on the report is $500, and the status of the report is Manager Approved. Only manager-approved expense reports can be exported to Dynamics NAV. Now, in order to export this expense report, you have to log in to an application called Gorilla Expense Integration Application. And all you have to do after logging in is go to File, Export Expenses, and you will see a list of all manager-approved expenses listed there. From the list, you can select the ones you want to send to Dynamics NAV, or just select all if you want to send them all to Dynamics NAV. And change the status to AP Approved so that particular expense report doesn't get picked up again in this list. Then, click on Send to NAV and Update Status button. This will send the expense report to Dynamics NAV, and you'll be able to go back in. Open the Purchase Invoices to find the expense report exported to Dynamics NAV as a purchase invoice. So, in this case, the purchase invoice is created against the user's vendor number. If you have corporate cards, then the purchase invoice will be created against the corporate card vendor number that you had maintained in Dynamics NAV. In the Lines section, you find the lines we had on the expense report. One for Hilton Hotels, and the second was for Delta Airlines, and the appropriate GL account tied to the respective expense types on the expense report. You can also configure it to map dimensions, job, and job task if you're doing job accounting in Dynamics NAV. You'll see the amounts and the total at the bottom on the invoice. Once the invoice shows up on the purchase invoice screen, you can go ahead and post it, just like you would post any other purchase invoice. This option of exporting is also available in an automated mode, so every Friday, a job will read all the manager-approved expense reports and send them to Dynamics NAV. However, many of our customers like to manually see what they're sending to Dynamics NAV. So for them, this UI-based option works as well. Our integration supports multi-currency and multi-company or intercompany postings, as well for clients who have multiple NAV company databases. We are one of the few options available in the market that supports the above feature, along with other advanced features like dimension mapping, job mapping, and GST mapping. Before we conclude, one last point I'd like to mention. You may have noticed that this row changed to green because it was a successful integration. Just in case something went wrong, you would notice that this row would instead turn red. This way, the UI is fairly intuitive for the end user to understand if there's any integration issues. If there are any issues, you will be able to go to Logs and look at them and easily analyze what went wrong. Thanks for your time today.